Hey everyone, this is Tom from MonTac here, and we are back at it again with another match of the week. And this time we have got another Pro Division matchup featuring ranked number 2 Minismoke taking on rank 5 TimeAnomaly. TimeAnomaly famous for, I would say, probably their mechanism strategies and steel edge strategies. But it looks like they're going in for a Kalidas at the moment. This is a very important matchup with the winner continuing their crusade into the pros and the loser unfortunately having to go back into Sparks. This is a do or die moment for both players. Let's see how this matchup goes. We've got Kalidas sending a Marine Guard to start. TimeAnomaly not allowing any sort of bricking to occur. This is the MonTac TCG, where basically each player at the start of their turns will roll a 6-sided die to see what they can play. For this turn, TimeAnomaly has rolled a 1, but they've been able to circumvent it with their Elder Kalidas. Very nice. We're going to go with Descent of the Dragon. Potentially seeing dragons in the meta would be very fun. We haven't actually seen them around in a very long time. So with the meta really just kind of been shocked in the last few weeks with Constants and Vigilantes both suffering nerfs, it could really give us a completely wide open meta, and right now it looks like dragons potentially could be making a comeback. What he's just done there, if anyone's wondering, is he's used Descent of the Dragon to send a dragon to the Perish pile from his deck, allowing him to draw 2 cards. Upon sending Star Thruster Dragon, he can draw an additional 2 cards and add a Perished Dragon Tactical to his hand. Of course, he didn't have one when he sent it, so he won't get to use that, but he's going to use the second Descent of the Dragon, which should send a second Star Thruster. Potentially. We'll have to see. Descent of the Dragon's pretty strong, really good consistency tool, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee dragons are seeing play, but it does actually require them. So, hopefully, after all that, we get to see some interesting new decks surface. So using a second Descent of the Dragon, going to send a second Star Thruster, drawing 4 cards, and then we'll allow them to search for another dragon card if they wish to. I don't know if they'll activate Star Thruster, we'll have to see. Yep, and they're going to grab it back. Very nice from TimeAnomaly there, very nice. Adding a bunch of cards to hand here for TimeAnomaly. The reason they're really doing this is probably because Minismoke is really starting to ramp up his OTK shenanigans recently. He's a very aggressive player. Long time player of control recently, but then up until a certain point after losing the pro title, he decided to go rogue and just went all out aggression, as it has been able to pick up some pretty gruesome victories. Let's see if TimeAnomaly is aware of this and if he can prepare in time, no pun intended, for the oncoming assault. So Kalidas is a really good tool here. It's a good card because it can pop stuff, and of course, as you saw, it allowed him to circumvent the low rolls. Now, what is happening here? Discourse is an interesting card. This is a card basically where you can send a tactical from the deck or hand to the Perish pile. If you do, add all copies of that card from your deck to your hand. And then, during next preparation stage, you may add the card you sent to the Perish pile back to your hand, and if you do that, all those cards can now be played regardless of class. That are like all the copies, I should say. So basically what he's done is he's going to have these Hailing Arrows cards, normally very hard to play out with the class of 6. Now, during his next preparation stage, will be playable regardless of class. Why are they such a good card? Well, it just straight up pops a monster in play, which is pretty simple, but really strong when facing a potential win killer. Star hand now also going, so TimeAnomaly has really just going for as much card advantage as possible. It does remind me a lot of the old Starlit days, back when you got additional attacks equal to the amount of cards in your hand before the errata. But even now, Starlit is still quite a strong deck, but I can't tell you what he's playing at this point. He's still playing very generic, and I can't really, the strategy isn't necessarily synonymous with any sort of typical meta threat right now, so this could be the birth of a brand new deck we're looking at. Ooh, MonTac. So MonTac was a very strong deck in the last few weeks, but it originally did get a couple little nerfs here and there, so it has suffered immensely in terms of its full power. However, it is still a very strong deck at the end of it. We're going to go in for MonTac Blader here. One of the biggest threats. Holy smokes, you're going in for 2. So this was a card that drives Minismoke nuts. I don't know if TimeAnomaly was aware of that, but this is surely playing on Minismoke's thoughts there. They have to think about what it's going to be like dealing with this threat. Once again, the threat that stopped them from being a master tactician, now they have to deal with it once again. Can they push through with their new wave of strategy? Roll of 2. Not many good rolls at the moment, but I will say it does keep things very, very interesting in terms of how they're going to dig their ways out of each situation. Roll of 2 now. We're going to go for star hand. So very interesting to see players digging into that star hand well. Most people generally try to avoid giving your enemy health points, but at this stage they seem to just absolutely go for it. And basically what star hand does, if you don't know already, for each card you add to your hand from your deck, your enemy gains a health point. So they can just search for any up to 5 cards from their deck and add it to their hand. Literally searching for them, not drawing. I mean, like, they can go through their deck, hold in their hands, and add up to 5 to their hand. It's pretty nuts, but it does give you any health, which does have its drawbacks. So we'll have to see how this plays out, but we've got TimeAnomaly looking pretty scary right now. Let's see how many cards were added from Star Hand, and then TimeAnomaly will gain their health points. Now, the reason MonTac Blader is so annoying for Minismoke was basically it's a card that bounces stuff. Holy smokes, we're going Descent of the Dragon. This is so weird. Both players using Descent of the Dragon, both players using Starlit Wrath. This is such a random meta right now. So basically, what Blader brings to the table is its ability to bounce back enemy monsters into their hand. This is probably the most devastating form of removal in the game of MonTac. Now, normally popping would be something of a, oh, that's really good, you get rid of it completely. But there is a lot of recursion in the game, plus a lot of the stuff, like synergies, require stuff in the Perish Part. So it's not as useful, but bouncing back a monster that might be harder to play from hand is really good and can allow you to get a very quick victory just by kind of slipping in there through the cracks and dealing damage to them before they can get their Perish Part prepared so that they can get access to their synergies, which is what you would call an extra deck in other games. In this game we call the asset pile, which is where all our synergies and elders and other type of high power monsters are kept. So right now, it doesn't look like TimeAnomaly will be able to get any sort of OTK, or to be fair, it is Minismoke's turn, but even then, TimeAnomaly has not really put on a lot of aggression. He could be playing a very consistent control strategy, but I have my doubts. As for Minismoke, I have no idea. Potentially Termination because they're running Stained Glass Star, but again, there's really no telling what they could run. They could be going off in any direction. Now, you may be wondering, why did MonTac Generator? Oh my gosh, it looks like it's a MonTac Mirror. I did not expect this in the current meta. So you might be wondering, why did Minismoke play that generator and, like Time did, give their generator to their opponent? Well, what generator is basically a card that when you play it, it's a constant tactical and it's played onto your enemy's placement. The reason it is done is that MonTac Blader, if you have a quick read here, basically can only pop enemy constants. And that generator, whenever it's popped, it just comes back to the field. So it basically gives your entire deck, as in the MonTac strategy, a consistent, constant card that you can pop. So it's very good for them. As for Blader here, it's going to be interesting to see how Minismoke deals with it. We're going with Star Hand. We're going with some serious consistency right now. I am going to be honest, this doesn't happen all the time. But players definitely have the ability to go for it anytime they'd like. Star Hand definitely adding more and more cards. I am very curious to see how will Minismoke use this to win this matchup. I have really no idea. But maybe we'll see it. Going to 15 health now for TimeAnomaly. Very unusual to see this much health gain. But that doesn't mean the game will be extra long. It could be even faster, as we saw back in the Starlit days. And we're going Deltra, which is a multi-attacking target. Very unusual. They're going to discard a mask, a Starlit Mask. And this is generally a card used to give people additional attacks. Deltro will already have the additional attacks on him. When he's played, you discard a card. Or sorry, you could discard a card to play him regardless of class. If you do, all monsters you command gain additional attacks. Discarding the mask is weird though. You think they'd want to... Maybe you can either cycle it back, it's an extra card draw, or you can have a board prepared so when you do drop Deltro, you could have more monsters get the additional attacks. But not seeming to be happening here. We'll have to see though. So 1750, 2 attacks on that Deltro. Have a quick read if you like. Still no real way to tell what Minismoke is running, other than I guess the Monster Army generator, but nothing's actually been played, so it's a very, very, very weird, very unusual board right now. I can't really say I understand exactly what is going on in terms of how this is playing out, because there's just too much left to the imagination. Now I will say though, TimeAnomaly having access to Discourse on their next turn will be huge. 2 regardless of class Discords or Discourses, really good. So we're going Deltro taking on the Klytus. This is a good strategy because Klytus has the ability to pop any enemy monster, or I think it's also enemy card as well, so they can actually deal with the Stained Glass Star, which is something that I imagine is important for Minismoke strategy. Going into second deck, TimeAnomaly, looking at their options, I don't think they'd have much to really work with, although they do have some dragons, so maybe they could get a dragon synergy out. I'm not really sure. So it's Time's turn, and they will be able to get their Discourse to activate, allowing them to grab out Hailing Arrows. It is now regardless of class. Really good strategy from Time. Definitely the pro play at this point. Very nice, very nice. Roll of 5 now. He's going to have to think about how he wants to approach this. Both players have so much to use in terms of their arsenal. We're going to go card displacement. So this is trouble. Card displacement is only used in OTK decks because of its ability to select an enemy card, a card in your enemy's hand and put it at the bottom of their deck. This is generally done to get rid of defenses. So we can't see it right now, but TimeAnomaly is peering into the very soul of Minismoke strategy by looking at their entire hand right now. And they have to choose one card to put at the bottom of their deck. This is generally done when your enemy has like maybe 4 or 5 cards in hand, and you can kind of get rid of one thing and generally the rest is used for offensive and you can kind of work it around. But just by the amount of cards Minismoke will have, surely they would have a strategy to deal with any sort of OTK. They're going to get rid of one card. Not sure what that was though. We got a response from Minismoke. Class Bond. I wonder what they're sending. Class Bond is a card base you can send as many monsters as you like that share the same class, and we're responding with some Ocdies. This is really weird. So Ocdies are typically used when you're trying to attack that turn, but in this case it looks like Minismoke is using them as a defensive measure, and by discarding these Ocdies they can randomly select 2 cards in TimeAnomaly's hand to shuffle them back into the deck. Oh, never mind, it won't activate. Because it's not discarded from, okay, so only one of them is going to activate, not both. Interesting. Chosen at random from their hand. Interesting. And they shuffled an Octi in TimeAnomaly's hand. What is this? Are they both running the same deck? This is so weird. Generally we have a lot of the players disperse around different archetypes and we don't generally see a mirror match. But this is really, really weird to see them both not only using Monster Army, but both also using Octi as a tech option? It's so confusing. So we got Starlet now. That has been shuffled back into the deck. Very nice. That will shut down Minismoke's ability to add advantage in their aggression. But I don't really see either of these guys getting a victory right now. However, I will say Perish Pile wise, TimeAnomaly's looking a little bit light. He's only got some dragons, and there's not really a super popular dragon-type synergy right now. Whereas Minismoke does have 2 Octeyes and 2 dragons. So Octeyes have the marine typing, and 2 of those would get them a predator, which would be really good in this instance. Double Lady Luck as well. It's just crazy. I don't know why they want this much card draw. Seriously, can you guys... I don't know if anyone's watching this can figure it out, but right now it is just nuts. I don't understand this at all. Lady Luck basically is a card you roll a 6-sided die. If it's a 5 or higher, you search your deck for any 2 cards out of your hand. If it's a 4 or below, you just draw 3. So it's not really a bad card at all. It's just, why so much consistency? Like, this is very unusual. I think this is very uneasy if I was Minismoke. But I do believe Minismoke has a trick up their sleeve. We'll just have to see. But I believe this is going to get messy very fast. Getting through all of Minismoke's defenses, this is a very interesting situation. You don't generally see 2 OTK decks face each other. I know, it's very weird. You'd think we would, but they're not as popular as you think. And a lot of people that run OTKs just happen to not use it when they play each other. I'm not sure why. It's a weird phenomenon. But, ooh, looks like Blader is going to take care of the Stained Glass Star and bounce Deltro back into Minismoke's hand. This will leave Minismoke wide open, but, I mean, only 2 damages on the board right now, so we're going to need something else to happen here. We're still in preparation stage, so TimeAnomaly still has plenty of time to figure out their strategy. I just don't know how they're going to pull this off. Roll of 5 for turn. They've got they've got Hailing Arrows as regards to class in hand. They can really deal with a lot of responses Minismoke may have. But there is one, so that if this gets threatened, we'll have to see if it's even being used. We've got 10 Talent, love that for TimeAnomaly. It isn't really going to be useful at the moment due to the fact that, well, 10 Talent can't really harm anything. Ooh, and we're going for Hut. So it looks like this is a full-on Monstari strategy, but it's very unusual in the fact that it's like kind of Control-esque. But I saw a card displacement. It's a very weird strategy right now. I'm not sure how he's going to turn this into a winning formula, but that's what makes it exciting, I guess. Coconut Hut, of course, is a very strong card. It's a constant tactical that can send a class 3 below from your side of the field to your asset pile. That's right, I said your asset pile. And then during the next preparation stage, that monster is played, or you would have to remember to play that monster, and it gains 1000 power. Each time you use Hut, you gain 2 health. So the health isn't really going to be that useful in terms of... Sorry, the health's not going to be that useful right now, but the power up on that 10 Talent will be good, because when 10 Talent is played while you command a constant tactical, you can halve an enemy monster. A lot of information I'm throwing you guys today, but I'm trying to explain this, and it is a very intense and high level pro match. There's a lot to talk about. Going card displacement. So now we're back in the hole. I don't know how the heck this is going to go, but it looks like Minismoke is coming back with some fire, and they're going to pick a card from TimeAnomaly's hand, put it at the bottom of the deck. Doesn't look like Minismoke took too kindly to that card displacement on the previous turn, and will be looking to potentially end the match this turn, as if y'all have seen before, card displacement is rarely used off on a whim. It's generally used when you are going for the victory. Hence why the last turn card displacement was very unusual. We'll see what Minismoke is doing. Potentially he's just using this to get an idea of what TimeAnomaly's deck is. And of course we can't really see that, so it'll be just a secret between them and the judges. Let's see. We'll have to see how this plays out. Going second card displacement. Once again, this is another copy of card displacement that can select another card, putting that card another Hailing Arrows it looks like they're triggering. So they're trying to deal with those cards TimeAnomaly added. I'm not sure why they're going after the Hailing Arrows though. Like, I get you can pop up a new monster. I guess that's the whole point, isn't it? But there must be, maybe TimeAnomaly hasn't run any sort of shields or guards, maybe? Maybe they're just playing offense right now. We got card displacement in response from TimeAnomaly. These guys are just going at it. They do not want either of them to be having any sort of strategy right now. It's like two rocks trying to bash the crap out of each other. I have no idea how this is going to end. Who is going to break first? Card displacement. See what that card is. I have no idea. But there must be something going on. Thank you again to former pro champion Crimson for judging this matchup on late notice. This will be very interesting to see if this is, the next meta. Could be. But it's very weird. Constant OTK? I don't know. It's a very unusual strategy. And second deck. What is Minismoke looking for? No one could predict what kind of darkness is arising. No, I'm joking. This is going to be very interesting. What could Minismoke be attempting? Here now, it looks like we're going to finally see something. Going Terrosian Predator. Terrosian Predator is an insane card right now. The card I was talking about. This is a strategy that can bounce all cards that the enemy commands back into, I think it's their hand. But then it will, it puts them back into their deck, doesn't it? And then they can play the two monsters from their hand. They can only command up to 2 while Predator is in play as well. So there's a lot of shenanigans going down. Having a look now, we've got Tim hitting field. Now, this is a really good strategy from TimeAnomaly. Also, I don't know why we got Terrosian Hammerhead Sentry right now. This is so weird. Basically, what I assume this is Tim is a strategy. Basically, it can't be bounced back into your hand, or rather, it can, but you can avoid it being bounced back to your hand by sacrificing 2 health. So in this case, Minismoke's not going to be able to get through at the moment. This is kind of where you're in a bit of a gridlock, and you have to be really careful about how you play it out. There's no clear, easy way to get this done. They're going to start getting desperate. As for Minismoke, they can deal with that Hammerhead Sentry, sure, but if they pop it or if they get rid of it, Yemi then has to choose whether they can get you a Marine type. There's a lot of interesting strategy behind this. There's a little bit of a trap here. So for Minismoke, they're probably going to want to deal with Hammerhead first, then deal with Tim. Both of them really playing some interesting strategy. We're going to go with Extreme Max 10 now. Once again, both players in a really dire situation. Minismoke has not necessarily been hard counted here, but he's in a point where his strategy may not be panning out as he expected. Let's see if the former, I think is he a 2-time? I think he's a 2-time pro champion, can pull this one off. So Terrosian Predator is pretty decent at 2,000. It can get over the Sentry for sure. It has Ravenous too, which is really what was so scary about this. Basically what Ravenous is, it's a keyword. When that monster wounds your enemy, which you might call direct attack in other games, it will deal damage equal to how many monsters you command plus the initial wound. So generally it's about, at max, it's 4 damage per wound. So pretty nasty. We're going to go with MonTac Blader here. There's a lot of bouncing we can do. I just don't know how useful it's going to be. This is a real mirror. This is so weird. I didn't think that Marine and, or rather Terrosian MonTac would be such a big deal, but it seems the spinning back element of both. And we're going Starlit Wrath. Okay, that's multi-attack, so that's good. Now, Tim, of course, TimeAnomaly is not really in a spot where they're going to be too dangerous because Tim could just use the specialty. So in this case, Tim is really hard saving TimeAnomaly right now. But we'll have to see if that continues. I have no idea how this goes. Even though, here's the problem though. If you do use Tim, you are still taking damage, so Minismoke could very easily force a bit of aggression here. At least get something, maybe just a 2 health. Just something to work with. They could bounce it back with Blader, which TimeAnomaly will be forced to sack 2 for, and then beat over it, forcing TimeAnomaly to sack another 2 to keep it in played. Looking at to see what they're going to bounce back. Blader to pop the hut. Okay, so hut is removed. Good play from Minismoke, but they'll have to bounce something back. They're going to attempt to bounce Tim. Let's see if Time tries to block. No, he's letting it happen. That could be a huge... That is a huge misplay right there to let it go back to your hand. This will leave TimeAnomaly wide open to any sort of assault. You have to wonder if he's prepared some sort of predator defense. But this is definitely a good thing for Minismoke. Still preparation stage 2, they can keep going and not have to worry about the whole Tim strategy. Really nice there for Minismoke. A very tense situation with only a couple turns in. I just put it in a certain way. Most players or most games generally hit turn 10 down within like 15, 16 minutes. So the fact that we're 28 minutes in and we're only on turn 4, yeah, pretty unusual. Gonna go Marine Exchange here. This is very unusual. I mean, this is an absolute mirror. Yeah, you're almost wondering if they built the deck together. Very unusual. I can't say that Minismoke has a Hammerhead Sentry, but man, very interesting. Okay. Still looking at some stuff. So Octai is happening, shuffling some stuff back. Okay, still thinking how this is going to go down. Going for Deltro, discarding a card from hand. This will give Minismoke an additional attack. Okay, so they're going to play the Deltro that had its specialty used previously. So Deltro is going to go to 3 attacks, everything else is going to get additional attacks, plus the Starlet. This is looking pretty nasty, I'm going to be honest. Okay, I believe Minismoke has got lethal here because Predator can hit for 12 by itself. I'm going to go Deltro looking to beat over Sentry. Hailing Arrows what? Hailing Arrows the Predator. Great play there from TimeAnomaly. Didn't know if they had Hailing Arrows, but it looks like they did, and they have immediately removed the threat and followed up with their own Terrocian Predator, bouncing back everything in Minismoke's field into their deck. And that will just clone the copies to make sure we're aware of how many attacks they each have. Oh goodness, this is getting crazy. Okay, they can play 2 monsters from their hand, but Minismoke definitely greatly diminished in terms of what they can do. You might be wondering, how could they have played Predator when their Perish Pile doesn't have any Octais in it? Well, if you have a look at Predator, on the card itself it says 2 Marine type monsters have perished. Holy smokes, we're going Dragon Cupid. Yeah, so they unfortunately cannot take it because the specialty reactivation will happen after they are played. So they will not be able to take it and play another monster. Let's see how this goes. Okay, just confirming that now. They technically... I guess they could have attacked the Predator. Interesting little interact. Actually, was it? No, it was played in conflict, wasn't it, when they attacked? Okay, never mind. Predator couldn't have been played. Good to be aware of that little ruling, though. Interesting. A little bit of a timing thing there. Roll of 3 for TimeAnomaly. What will time go for? They're going for Marine Exchange again. There's so much consistency in this matchup. I just have to wonder how they're going to play this out. It's just getting very grindy right now, and the time surely is going to start running out. We only have an hour time limit on these matchups, so I gotta think of something fast. Still thinking it through. TimeAnomaly taking their time. Going Octai again. Looking to take more cards from Minismoke's hand. I just don't know how much that's going to help. Shuffles it back. Shield apparently has been hit. Okay, go Marine Tactical from that. Let's see what they grab. Marine Sanctuary. This is very... Okay, man, I haven't seen Terosians this much in the meta in a while, so this is like full on, I think, Marine Monstarmory, or maybe Terosian Monstarmory, I guess? What Terosian stuff? So this allows them to shuffle more stuff. I'm not sure how this is going to go. Marine Sanctuary is a card that basically, while it's a constant card, while it's in play, you can shuffle a card from your hand back into the deck, draw a card. Which doesn't do a heck of a lot in normal strategy, but in Terosians, where everything activates off being shuffled, it's pretty decent. And when a marine monster perishes while Sanctuary is in play, if its specialty is removed, its specialty is returned, which is really good. Really good with the Shark strategy. And when they go with Tantalus, Tantalus will halve the Cupid. So now let's see. That is true. Tantalus is 1750. Still weighing up the options for this matchup. Who would have thought two Rabbit OTK strategies would lead to a super long matchup? Well, there you go. Tantalus is at 1750, so decent stats. We've got Terosian Hammerhead Sentry, which has survived for so long. and a Terrosian Predator with the specialty removed, which means Ravenous is offline. Let's see how this goes. Trying to beat over the Cupid. I really hoping to see a second Predator. Okay, Monomace is going to boost it. Still, it's only 1650 though, yeah. It is going to be lower. They will get to see TimeAnomaly's hand though, which is nice. Now, of course, that 2000 Predator is barreling down on Dragon Cupid. They're going to need to do something here. What is Minismoke going to do? Predator in response. Holy smokes. Talk about bounce back matchup. So everything is bounced back into the deck, including the Predator. Now, of course, because the Predator is an asset monster, instead of the main deck, it will go back into its asset pile, also known on untap as the second deck. So that will still work in that case. So Predator just bounces Predator, which just bounces Predator, which is going to be a very annoying strategy. Let's see. This is a very intense matchup. Both players have similar assets, similar main deck, and the exact same perish pile amount. That's just crazy. Both got constants on the field. Minismoke has the presence, but they're going to have to see what can happen right now. Roll of 3. This is going to be Predator into Predator, isn't it? Holy smokes. What a grindy match. Okay. Still playing it out. Still here. Still going. Trojan Predator looking pretty nasty right now. The Ravenous is online. But TimeAnomaly's Predator did get special moves, so they'd have to have a second one to be able to deal with all this. The question is, do they run 2? Very grindy matchup, I will say. And we're going to Hailing Arrows the Predator. This will shut off both of Minismoke's Predators, leaving TimeAnomaly potentially with the only Predator online. But I do believe that Dragon Cupid has... does it have multi-attack? Oh, it will because of Starlit Wrath. Okay, so... Dragon Cupid does have the ability to go for some extra damage. They're using Monomace again, are they? They allow them to search and see TimeAnomaly's hand. And they're going to hit for 3. Good damage there. First real damage of the game. I wonder if the hand refill was there. Oh, it might have been through the whole time. I'll ask them though. Okay, do they get to see the hand of TimeAnomaly, which will be good information for Minismoke. It is mandatory, I believe, so best not to miss those. Okay, so now they conceal and they've seen it. Now they're going to roll the 2. Let's see what we got. see what they're going for. We're going for Blader again. I don't know what the heck that's going on there. So Blader's going to go to pop something here. So max 10 can protect them. Blader can't activate because it has to send an enemy monster, or enemy tactical, sorry, to bounce. And because it cannot send it due to max 10, that will shut off its strategy. Very intense situation right now. Gary Shuffleback. What the heck is Gary doing in the pro strategy? I mean, I love to see it, but that's so weird. Oh gosh, such a weird strategy. Honestly, these decks are very interesting. They're very interestingly made. They're very different meta-wise. There's not really any conducive or any solid deck right now. It's so weird to see these two mirror match, though, I will say. Especially with the recent changes. Two pros both picking the exact same strategy. It just isn't that common as you would think. And it is a very tough matchup. And now that Dragon Cube is at 2550. Very strong stat-wise with a lot of multi-attack. That could give TimeAnomaly a lot of trouble here. But TimeAnomaly's been great to deal with those predators. I'm just not sure how this is going to work. How will this play out? I have no idea. But apparently y'all are in it with the long haul. Oh dear. Okay. Very long matchup. Very intense matchup. TimeAnomaly's going to have to think how they're going to proceed now. At this point, second deck is probably a good idea because they have eliminated a bunch out of Minismoke strategy. Never mind, they're passing it over. And he's just 2 little health points away to deal with Minismoke's backboard. Oh gosh, they are not happy about this. Oh dear. TimeAnomaly just talking about how they should have sent Ring Guard. Too funny, too funny. Roll of 2 now. Let's see what Minismoke will do. Once again. Roll of 2 right now. They are just discussing now that Dragon Cube and how much they just TimeAnomaly does not like it. Oh gosh, it is actually a really tough thing for TimeAnomaly to deal with. Dragon Cube, it hasn't actually really seen consistent play since a very long time. I'm going to be honest, I can't actually place the last time Dragon Cube was in a top deck. I think, gosh, it might be like beginning of the year, January, February maybe? Maybe before then? I have a feeling it's been a very long time, at least 6 months, since Dragon Cube has been consistently used in a top pro strategy. So, I mean, funny enough, you wouldn't really believe it knowing how little it's been played now, but back in maybe 6 months ago, it was a solid staple and still playing almost every single deck. So, of course, with the format change, that did make it harder for health points to be, you're more likely to part with health points in the current format, but previously, yeah. Not so much. We're going to go with Blader, pop in the Sanctuary. Good strategy for that Blader. It's going to bounce back the Blader from TimeAnomaly's field. leaving them wide open. Going to conflict. Got 5 attacks, looking to close out the game. Is this it for TimeAnomaly? That is Specialty Move Predator, so it can't bounce anything back. So they will attack over the Predator. What will the situation be? Savage Dual Shield to block. Sheesh. Roll of 4 now. Roll of 4. How will this play out? Okay, they're gonna go for Blader. Going for Tim. Tim is going there, he's going to play that Tim out. Class 1, 50 power, not doing much there, but it's a good anti-OTK strategy right now. This is getting really grindy though. They're also running out of time, so at a certain point they will just have to accept the draw. But hopefully we actually get to see a winner this one. Going after the Blader. Blader versus Blader. Both Bladers look to be gone. Both Bladers are gone. Oh man. No more bouncing back, it seems. Passing it over. Okay. Roll of 2. Roll of 2 now. Minismoke gonna have to weigh up how they're gonna deal with it. Going to Gary. Gary is going to be nasty right now. Let me read what Gary does again. You discard 2 cards from your hand if you do against 200 for each card in your perish pile until it perishes, and then it gains additional attack each time it wins a conflict. It's already at 5 attacks due to Starlit Wrath. But I don't know if it'll matter in the end. Let's see. Does Minismoke want to make the discard of 2? Going to conflict. Sacking 4 health points to remove Starlit Wrath. All the additional attacks are gone. Star Hand hitting the field now. Still thinking this out. What will TimeAnomaly go for? Goodness me, they are both taking a while, I'm gonna be honest. Holy smokes. Did not expect that. I don't think either of them expected this to be a longer matchup, but now forced with the situation where they're running out of resources. This is a pretty tough one. No real way of figuring out who's gonna win this. Both players at 4 in the asset and almost the exact same main deck left. Almost the same amount of cards in Perish Pile as well. Beating over Predator. Go and calculate a Gambit. Top 5 cards of the deck and place them back in any order. Then you may send the top 2 cards of your deck to the Perish Pile if you do add a tactical from your deck or Perish Pile to your hand. Great strategy to basically mill the top 2. And then they can add a tactical, but what tactical would they be looking for is a good question. Top 2 cards. What will they be? We're going to send an Octai and a Blader, both of which can't really be used right now. Octai being sent from deck, and they're going to grab Hailing Arrows, which they can do. So that will give them the ability to out the Cupid and out Gary if they wish. Let us see what they will do. Discourse. Dang, Gaza class permanent, pretty nice. Alright. So Hailing Arrows is online. A card that can just straight up pop anything in play. TimeAnomaly's going to have to think if that Cupid is worth it. Predator is gone. Running out of time for sure. Taking their time. Going to attack over Tim the Toad. If TimeAnomaly decides to sacrifice 2 to keep it alive, they'll drop to 1 health point. And with a Corrosive Tim the Toad, that could be very scary. Corrosive is a keyword. Basically, when that monster wins a conflict, both players take a damage. Let's see. And Tim is gone. This will give Despicable Gary a secondary attack. That is correct. Gary gains additional attack. This is 3 damage, going for game with Gary. That is correct. Gary is going for lethal now. Going Balumbra. Now, of course, Gary can still attack that Belumbra by discarding 2. They'll have more than enough. Question is that something Minismoke's going to try and do? It will shut off the max 10 though. What will they use to attack? Gary engaging the Belumbra. 2 cards which will add 4,200, 2,100 times 2, 4,700 onto that Gary. It'll be 4,700 in total. More than enough to deal with Belumbra. And we're going to go with Savage Mono Axe, which will give it 2,000. And they can move the specialty of a monster, but if they move the specialty of Gary, will Minismoke remember the sleeper skill? Going to 4,700, sacking 2, specialty back online. It is too big for Belumbra. Gary is going to engage Belumbra. Belumbra is looking to be shut off. Now, of course, they will be able to go into another monster on Belumbra Perish, but it could be less than the Cupid, or will be less than the Cupid, to which a Gary can then attack after the board has been cleared. Time is surely running out for this matchup. They're going to play Predator, bouncing it all back again. Bouncing it all back. Minismoke, once again, losing their board. Oh, no, they can do it because of Predator. I thought they were trying to use Deltro through its specialty. So they can definitely go Deltro here. See how much time is left. Seven minutes left. Oh, we did have that break, didn't we? Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Roll of 3. Is this game TimeAnomaly might be forfeiting? They're going to play it out. Going Belumbra over the Deltro. This has been a long one, guys. Gonna go Savage Dual Shield. See Smoke's move. Lumbra. Time is ticking. Going Deltro. Going over Balumbra. With a lot of attacks. 4 attacks at 4750. Looks to be bigger than Balumbra. Hailing arrows, popping the Deltro. Goodness me. Attacking over Predator with a, what is that, 2100 Balumbra over the Predator at 2000. Going Octi now. Going Sentry now. Going Max 10. Going Starlit Wrath. Can't activate because of Balumbra. Sent at the Dragon, looking to boost something by 300, and it's going to boost the Octi. Okay. It will boost everything by 300. Except for Balumbra, of course, it's a Sinji. Here we go. They got a talent in hand. Gary hits the field. Gary, which is at 3 attacks, 4700. More than large enough. I don't know how TimeAnomaly survives this. Going to attack over the Blader. Going to 4 attacks. Holy smokes. Going after the Octi now. It looks like we're in the twilight of the match after this huge saga. Gary could be winning the match. Tactician stands at 5,000. Gary's too small. Using specialty, discarding 2. And Gary will rise to 54 plus his 47. That's 10,100, doubling the Monstari Tactician. $10,100. Beating over Monstari Tactician. That is game. Well played, everybody. Oh, I hope we don't have to play that again. Thank you, everyone, watching. See you later. This has been Tom.